All right, fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes in social media. My name is Judson Powell. I want to talk some more about the coronavirus because that's what is on everybody's mind. So we're going to stay on that for right now. I want to get back to some more spiritual stuff, but this might not be the right time. But anyway, so now, a lot of conspiracy theories out there. I've been reading a lot, been reading a lot of stuff. So there's a few things that are like very curious to me. One of the first things that came up was on the day, and somebody actually inboxed me about this, on the day that Kobe Bryant died, all right, there was actually on the USA Today, and it now is circulating around the internet, on the cover of USA Today newspaper, there was an article about coronavirus. And it was like a warning. It was like, get ready because it's about to come. All right. And then we saw, I don't know how many of y'all, if y'all go on my Facebook timeline, you can see all this stuff. But then Don Lemon from CNN did a expose about all of the responses that President Trump gave along the way. And basically, and then all of a sudden he's like, well, I always knew it was a horrible pandemic and all this stuff. So anyway, so it just shows how Trump didn't have a clue and that he lied the whole time. Also, he lied about disbanding the pandemic team that the Obama administration had put in place before he even left office. So there was already a team assembled at the Center for Disease Control for such an instance. And of course, I also posted up there about how during the Obama administration, we actually had some diseases that were worse than this one, some viruses that were actually worse than this one, even that's not just me making that up. Even doctors have said that this is like not that serious as a virus, and that there are other viruses that are more serious. And basically, we never shut the government down, and the stock market never crashed under Obama. All right, so so I don't want to get into the whole Trump versus Obama, and but it does seem like the only thing that Trump does is like he tries to unwind everything that Obama did, and I think that's the hallmark of his presidency. All right, and with that said, I'll leave that alone. Okay, so now Richard Burr is from North Carolina, and he's the Republican senator that's in charge of intelligence, right? So he's the Intelligence Committee chairman, all right, Richard Burr. All right, now it seems like once he got all the information about coronavirus, he sold off $1.5 million worth of stock. So he got all his money out of the stock market before it crashed. Also, the other fishy thing is the man who was talking about depopulating the world, right? And also that there would be 100 million deaths in Africa, right? Bill Gates, who also stepped down from the board of directors of Microsoft, right? Come to find out, he owns the patent to the coronavirus. So this stuff is kind of, so when you start talking about conspiracy theories and stuff like that, this stuff is kind of like, what's going on, what's really good, it's like we kind of need to get some answers to this stuff, right? Okay, so now Barr, okay, Bill Gates, all right, and Bill Gates that's another reason why. So people are getting mad because black people were like, well, black people ain't catching it, all right, and it's still pretty much true. Black people are testing positive, but they're asymptomatic. They're not getting sick, and the black people that have passed from the virus, all right, they were already either, number one, they were already sick. They had deficiencies in their immune system or deficiencies in their respiratory system. And the second thing is they were in New York or had been to ground zero in New York. The area where everybody came back when they first came back from overseas was in New York. So now that's what I want to talk about. So ground zero. So in Wuhan, in China, right? And that's why there have been no new reported cases, and basically everybody has either recovered or they died. All right. Okay, so they have, and I think, oh man, I can't remember that it was above, their recovery rate was above 70%. The people that were at the ground zero were, and it's also, it has been traced back to those people eating those bats from that market. All right, so but in Italy, all right, they're getting like hundreds of new infections every day. All right. And they still don't really know, just like, and I searched this stuff up. They still really don't know what ground zero was in Italy. All right. So yesterday I posed the question, does race and does money and all of that stuff play a part in this? And I would say overwhelmingly, yes. All right. Now, because right now, the only real people that are dying are Italians. Now, so think about that. So now you have these Italians dying, and I mean, they're dying in huge numbers. But the funny part about it is that nobody is like really like dispatching like emergency aid or anything to Italy. So trying to figure that out, still trying to figure that out. And so when I talk about all these different places, so New York, so that's why they had a lot of people in New York who tested positive, because when people came back, most of them came to New York. All right. So now the next thing is this guy, Charles Lieber, and I have to bring him up. Charles Lieber is a Harvard scientist. Okay. And it is believed by some that he invented this new strain of the coronavirus. Now, he was arrested by the FBI 2 days ago. Okay. He's in custody. He's in federal custody right now. Okay. But here's the thing. China, I forgot Iran. Okay. But Iran, the same thing was true about what went on in China. People in Iran were ingesting the virus. So they were in, I guess the report was that people were eating camel meat and drinking camel milk. Okay. So let's just lay it all out there. Okay. So, but now Iran and China are both accusing the United States of creating this virus. But the twist is with Lieber, and the fact that Charles Lieber, basically, the big twist is that they say he's working for the Chinese. So they, and at one time he was making that, like, I think it was like 2017, 2016, 2015, he worked for the Chinese as a consultant. Okay. So, and he made it, and I guess he was making like 50 G's a year working for the Chinese. All right. So is this true or is it not true? And if he did invent the virus, who is he working for? Who paid him to invent it? So is Iran and China, are they telling the truth that because they seem to be the people that got it? And then the other thing is that in Italy, they don't know. All they can say is Northern Italy, but they don't really know where ground zero is in Italy. And there's no report of them like ingesting it. So it appears in Italy that the thing is kind of like airborne. So it's a different method of delivery of the virus. It's a different method of delivery. It's not the same thing. Okay, because we can understand, like, if you eat a bat, and you swallow the bat, it goes in your system. Well, you should know that your immune system is in your most of your immune system is in your digestive tract. So whatever you eat, and if it's tainted with something, it's going to make you sick. All right, because of the process of you digesting it, it's going to go into your bloodstream, et cetera, and it's going to be very difficult. Because why? Because it's going to go into your intestines and all of that stuff. It takes time, for it to come out of your system. And in the case of the virus, in the case of the coronavirus, we've all seen pictures of these little things, and they have spores, right? So if those spores attach into your digestive tract or into your respiratory system at any point, okay, that's what gives you the full-blown virus. All right, because some people are tested positive. And see, that's what we were getting at about black people. And somebody got on me about that. I was like, look, but it's true. Most of the black people, including Kevin Durant and including Idris Elba and the basketball players in Utah, all of them tested positive, but they're asymptomatic. They don't have the symptoms and they've never gotten it. And it appears the same thing to be true with Tom Hanks in Australia. And the other thing is, that's another thing that proves it. It's like, look, the virus is a common virus because as far as we know, nobody was in Australia. And then there was, so we know that the virus is endemic. I think that's how you pronounce it, meaning that it's a virus that has existed and will always exist. So it's like flu, flu's the same thing happens with the flu. It's endemic. It doesn't go away. It goes dormant for a while and then it'll pop back up again, and there are a lot of viruses that are like that, So that's why you have, like with herpes, you have different simplex, because I looked that up, and you have like these different simplexes of herpes, so like a cold sore is different from genital herpes or, other types of herpes, but it's endemic. It's never going to go away. It's always going to be in the earth. So people will always get it, no matter what. No matter how hard you try to stop it, no matter what you try to do about it or whatever, some people are going to get it. Okay? So, and that's the same thing with this coronavirus. It's the same thing. So some of these cases, so that's why now all of a sudden they're trying to make everybody panic because of the fact that there's all these new cases. But what they're not separating from the fact that they're finding cases is the fact of, are they symptomatic or are they asymptomatic? In other words, do they have the signs? And that's why, and I believe if you remember, Vice President Pence said something when he was telling people, he was like, well, if you don't have any symptoms, it's not really a big deal. The only time it's really a big deal is if you're presenting with symptoms. Okay, so now where does that leave us? And we know that the Italians, they develop the symptoms, bam, they get them quick. We know that the Asians are able to pretty much fight it off. Why? Because everybody recovered and they got over a 70% recovery rate. And the people that died were basically the ones that were at ground zero and ingested the virus. All right. And I'm just saying, this is all the stuff that I've been researching and looking up. Okay, because a lot of the news people, all they're doing is giving you numbers. Okay, yeah, we got 2,000 new infections, but what they're not telling you is, okay, so out of those 2,000, how many are like really sick in the bed? And like I said, and it appears that Africans and their descendants are carriers. It looks like we are the carriers of the virus. Like we carry the virus, but we don't show its symptoms. So we're asymptomatic. And don't know why that is, have no clue, but to look at all this other stuff and then to look at Barr's behavior, at Gates' behavior, and even at Trump's behavior, okay, and the fact that they knew this was coming all the way 3 or 4 months ago, okay, but they tried to do nothing to stop it. So, what about that? And that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, so is it really a conspiracy? Did they just turn the other way and just let it happen? And it appears that that's because I think what they were trying to do, is they were trying to make money off of the vaccine. Because remember, Trump said what? Trump said that the vaccine, that everybody wouldn't be able to afford it. But how did he know? How did he already know? And how is there already a FDA approved vaccine? And how is there already tests for a virus that supposedly you knew nothing about, or a virus that never existed before? How is all that possible? Those are the questions that people should be asking themselves. You know, how did that really come about? And then we see that Jared, what's the president's nephew, or his whatever he is, he owns a company that provides the testing for coronavirus. Jared Kushner, that's his name. He owns a company that provides the tests. So a lot of this is kind of little fishy. You know, I smell more than fish. I smell a rat, fish, all kind of stuff, and bats and camels. I know it's not funny, but think about it, because that's what's real. Because in my opinion, and once again I say in my opinion, that's what's really going down. All right. Well, anyway, I went a couple minutes over. That's the fastest 15 minutes and 16 minutes and 30 seconds. I love y'all. Look, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons, but hit the love button. I love you all. Think